Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm finished. I'm 99% finished, which is good enough for this video. This is the big reveal video. You have two doors. Pick a door. Let me flip this camera around and we shall go and see the 99% finished home studio / office. Okay, so an innocuous looking white door in a normal everyday house. Let us open the door. We have 5mm sound mat that was left over on the door. We've got my 100mm acoustic panel from the previous video. We've got another 100mm acoustic panel from the previous video. I did not do this side, I've done the other side. So, and you can see that they fit nicely. So here we go. Let's do this! Dun, 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 dun. Welcome to my new home studio / office. Let me close the door. Now you can tell this is a good, actually that door's open, but there's a really tight air gap when the other door is shut. So I am so happy with this. I am really happy with this. I am incredibly pleased. I'm going for the moody lighting at the minute just to give it some ambiance. But I shall now turn the main light on a second just to make this a little bit easier to look at. I've still got the tape on the floor. I have yet to run SonarWorks and Room EQ Wizard. I'm planning to do that this weekend or next week. So finalising my position, back and forth by a couple of inches is, in terms of just living in here and using it, is no big deal at the minute. So I am very pleased. I've got some cheap basic polystyrene diffusers from Thomann. So let's give you a little rundown. I've got the Focusrite 18i8 Scarlett, the two primary outputs 1 and 2 go directly into the Behringer. They go out to the Alesis Monitor 1 Mark IIs. Outputs 3 and 4 go into the top-in L50 headphone amp, and then they go out into the PreSonus, I think they're the PreSonus 4.5Bs, I think. And that's all TRS balanced cables for low noise. I got my key station for when I'm doing strings and things. And you may be wondering, well, where's the PC? So originally this desk had the bottom board out in front. You can probably see the old screw holes there. So the PC did sit here. That PC is quite loud, not all the time, but when the fans ramp up, it just produces enough to be irritating. So what I did on the backboard, I put what was left of the acoustic plasterboard. I put a layer of acoustic plasterboard, which you can probably just see there. I then screwed on a layer of 5mm sound mat. I did the same on the other side. I've put a layer of 5mm sound mat on the back which actually overhangs to create a curtain, and the PC is in there because I don't really care about showing it off. It's just a PC. I actually created a little shelf so that the curtain doesn't impede airflow on it either. There's sound mat on the floor of it as well. You can see the sound mat at the back as well, and that deadened the noise enough. You can still, obviously it bleeds out the sides. I might buy some acoustic foam. I don't know yet. I've got my 2 UPSs. I got one UPS for the power amp, and then the other UPS is for everything else. Basically I wanted to balance out the power distribution a little bit. TV, my ancient PC from 2012 that I loved and built brand new when I got my first well-paid IT job. Yes, I'm still waiting on the bloody bass traps to be returned to Thomann and have replacements sent out. So I don't particularly want to do the room EQ and SonarWorks without that. It might not make any difference or very little difference, but I still don't want to do it without the room actually being acoustically finished. But that is it. It is a fucking sweat box in here. The acoustic vent works brilliantly. It does work, but right now it's about 28 degrees in Cardiff, and this room I have to have I got a big floor fan from my cycling. I got 2 big massive floor 24-inch fans that push air, and I have to have that in here during the day and I can't open the window all the way out because we've got a cat and she'll escape through the window because this is a ground floor room obviously, and I don't want her escaping out the front with all the cars. Out the back she's fine, but the acoustic vent does work. It's great, but it is like a sweat because there's like 2 layers of plasterboard, there's the rock wool across, everything. It is I probably am not gonna need that oil radiator in the winter. I think this is just going to be warm enough with the PC heat and my body heat. I think it's going to be it's going to be like an oven in here even in the winter. I think it's going to be very cheap to run heating wise. I'm not going to have to turn it on, I don't think, unless it goes like -10 or something. But I'm really pleased. I'm 40. It's taken me 49 years to get to this point, and I never thought I'd get to this point because I gave up playing for 11 years. I mean, it was only the pandemic and the Scrubs podcast that got me actually to even buy a guitar again and start playing again. So this technically shouldn't exist. None of it should. But I'm so pleased it does, and I really can't wait now to start finishing off the album for a start, and just recording some more covers for YouTube and start practicing. I have started practicing. I've spent the last week practicing. I've been doing my vocal exercises every day, and I got a loud voice, and my wife's office is literally behind there. She hasn't heard anything, like nothing. She's come in and she thought I was out, even though I was playing full belt and playing my guitar and practicing songs and stuff and like full whack. She thought I was out. She did not hear a thing, which is it just like justifies every penny I've spent. Every penny we've spent on this room has been justified in this last week. It's so, if you're a singer or you play an instrument and you live next to like sensitive neighbours or people who are sensitive to noise, you have got this unconscious bias to dial it back a little bit. The last week I have been so self-aware of how much more I can just let rip with my voice compared to back in my old house when I was just like literally, and this is not a lie, in the old house I was standing in our boy's cupboard wardrobe with all his clothes in there parted in the middle, with a blanket over me, when I was doing my vocalize exercises, I would be sweating buckets. I would literally take everything off. I'd have just shorts on and a torch, and I'd have the vocal YouTube exercise video on my phone to my ear, and I would literally have a blanket over me with the wardrobe door shut to try and just deaden as much noise as possible. And now in here, I can just stand in the middle of the room and just absolutely let rip, and it's so freeing and like inspiring, and it just feels amazing to just not have to worry about, am I pissing someone off, am I annoying the wife because she's on a works call, you know, with like a director or something, and I can just, it's so freeing. If you ever get the opportunity to do this, I can't recommend it enough. It is so liberating. It's outstanding. It is absolutely outstanding. But that's Doggy. Doggy's in her bed. Yes, she is. Aren't you? Hey, yes. You get your own little bed in my office, don't you? When I'm working, you either sit on my lap or you go in your bed, or I put you up on the desk and she goes on the windowsill and barks at the world. Don't you? But yes, this is it. I do have some, when I had Daffy Duke on the wall, I think the combination of fresh paint and freshly plastered walls, when I had to move Daffy Duke to put the diffusers on, some of the paint came off, so I've just got to go up in the loft and get the paint, what's left of the paint, and just do a little bit of touch up. But yes, I am so pleased. Thank you very much, if you know, to anybody who's watched these videos. Hopefully, I mean, they're not instructional videos and they may be not the best produced videos, but I hope it gives you an insight into what a normal person does with a reasonable budget, a reasonable working class budget. Because we're not wealthy, we're not rich, you know, we both work hard, we both have a little bit of disposable income. We were lucky enough that we had a lot of equity in the old house, so we used a chunk of equity to do the majority of this. I've still gone into my credit card mostly to do some of the acoustic treatment and to get a few other bits and bobs like the top-in L50 that I wanted. You know, so I have gone over budget, but you know, I was fortunate enough that we had a comfortable amount of equity to be able to allow us to do this in the first place. So I realised that that's a privileged position, but it's taken me 49 years to get to that privileged position to be able to do this. You know, I could only have ever dreamed of doing something like this in my 20s or my teens, when, you know, I started playing guitar when I was 16. I couldn't even imagine living in a house like this, let alone having an office sort of home studio like this. This was just, you know, dream stuff, fantasy stuff. But yeah, it's reality, and I now have to sort of put the bloody effort in and use it. And I'm fighting my demons, and I'm fighting my huge imposter syndrome and my self-doubt and all the self-worth issues I've ever suffered from, and the depressive episodes. I'm fighting those every day to do something positive with this space, finish the album, put it out, and then just keep making more music and put more albums out, put more of my music out there. And you know, it is possible. I mean, I'm going to be 50 next year. I'm hoping to release the album on my 50th birthday. That's the plan. And it's kind of like a turning point, I guess, of trying to, you know, turn over another new leaf and be a different person. And I'm hoping this room is gonna, you know, allow me to do that, because I don't have a technical excuse now not to do it. Do what you can with the tools that you have now. Don't worry about, but if I only had a bit more money, or if I only had this plug-in or I had this bit of equipment. Just use what you've got now. Like there's 8 tracks on my album. 7 of them were recorded in the old house, in a bedroom, with no acoustic treatment. They were mixed in the living room with no acoustic treatment, with just those pre-Sonos, you know, reasonably priced monitors, and a pair of DT99 990 Pro headphones that I'm still using, and I still will always use. Use what you've got now. Use what you've got now, and don't be afraid to just create and release whatever you can with what you've got. Make the best of what you've got. But there's probably one more video, maybe 1 or 2, I don't know yet, but the next video will be, hopefully I'll probably show part of the Room EQ Wizard process to get the waterfall charts of what the decay times are like in the room, and then the Sonarworks, and just finalising the position so that I can eventually take that bloody frog tape off the floor. But thank you so much to anyone who's watched this. I know it's not the best produced videos, but like I said, I hope that this shows you what normal people with normal money can do on a budget. You know, I know not everyone's got even the budget that I had, you know, but I didn't have an inexhaustible supply of money. This has been done, you know, to a budget. That is budget. That is not high-end studio detailing. You know, it's a guy on a budget, sticking to his budget and just doing what he can with the money that he's got. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it or found some of it useful, you know, or good ideas that you can put into practice yourself. But I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Cheers.